Welcome to the Oh Brother podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
Happy New Year, Dan.
Happy New Year. Season 2 kicking off.
First show of the new season.
Crazy. Season
Feels like
2.
it's been a while.
Yeah, I guess episode 33, technically, we'll put it out as. But so we're going to do it's so much to talk about, but we're going to do a double shot today. We're doing a double feature. We're going to talk about George Clooney's new film, The Midnight Sky, and we're going to talk about the Pixar film Soul.
Oh, I didn't know you watched that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, hey, folks, it's a surprise and a double feature episode.
Yeah,
today.
hey, I didn't
Oh,
even
brother.
know that. That's great.
Yeah, I figured you assumed by the texting that we were doing back and forth. But yeah, I was able to see it, so we'll talk about that too.
Good.
And lots happening. We, if you want to catch up, if you've missed any episodes or you want to follow the blog that we've got, please go to our official website, which is ohbpodcast.com, OHB as in brother, podcast.com. That's where you can get access to everything Oh Brother, all of our social media information, our YouTube channel. You can subscribe and like our videos from there. And Mike puts out a blog pretty frequently too that if you're interested in that, you can pull that up and read that as well. I'm sure we've got another blog not too.
Yeah, one's in the pipeline.
In the pipeline, yeah. So we'll get that out pretty soon as well. We also are excited. By the time you hear this episode, I think, maybe not, I don't know, we are going to do an Instagram Live tonight with one of our biggest supporters and one of the accounts that we follow and love so much, which is Tiana Loves Movies, at Tiana Loves Movies. And she's our friend up in the Great White North. We're going to jump on IG Live tonight with her and have a chat and take questions or, whatever. So we're excited and looking forward to that. Yeah, looking forward to that. We had a great end of season 1. We had a fantastic interview with the Nelms brothers in their movie Fat Man. And also in the new year, we're going to be interviewing Chance Hurstfield, who also stars in the movie Fat Man and is on the ABC show. Yeah, he's on the ABC show Million Little Things right now as well. And so we'll be talking to him at some point later this month. So just a lot happening right now in the Oh Brother Studios. Yeah, there you have it, folks. So we're gonna jump in. You want to talk about Soul first? You want to talk about Midnight Sky? Talk about Midnight Sky?
Yeah, we'll talk about that first.
Okay, because you just saw that more recently than you've seen Soul. You saw Soul before I did.
This was it was a week for me. I think
a lot of films.
14 movies since
Good Lord.
The new year, since New Year's Eve.
Grief, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, really a lot of stuff.
Wow. Okay.
The Irishman, Parasite, things that, I saw The Irishman before, but Parasite I had never seen.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, we were tossing around some ideas. We wanted to kick off the new year with something new, something fresh. And so we were swapping ideas and, we had talked about The Midnight Sky was one of them. And then you had pitched Soul. And I don't know what it was about Soul. I honestly can't even tell you. I was just, of course, with Disney Plus, it's always popping up on my menu and this and that. And I just never felt the inclination to hit play and start watching it for no particular reason. But
I was pushing for Soul.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And you were pushing for
and again, no particular reason because I hadn't seen Soul yet, but I thought Midnight Sky, again, new film, might be good to talk about. So so this is a film that's stars and is directed by George Clooney, and it came out just like a couple weeks ago maybe.
Yeah, it had a very short theatrical run,
as most do now.
Yes. And then it's on Netflix.
If that's right.
So if you want to see this, if you have a Netflix account, it's free to Netflix users. And it's based on a novel very loosely. I don't even think it said that in the credits because it's really different.
Yeah, I think maybe somewhere it says adapted from the novel, but
and that's being generous, I think.
Yeah, so it's basically, you know, George Clooney plays this lone scientist who is out on the Arctic, and he is basically the premise is that he's trying to communicate with a group of astronauts out in space about conditions back on Earth that are going to make it, uh, let's say, very challenging for them on their return trip home.
He's trying to communicate,
Right.
especially with people that are coming back to Earth. He
Correct.
can't get in touch with anybody.
And it's a pretty strong cast. You got Felicity Jones, who I had said to you the whole time. I'm like, I know this actress, and why can I not place her? I kept confusing her with something else, and then I'm like, oh, Rogue One,
Yeah.
Jyn Erso. Like, how could I not realize that? So, and then, can you say his name correctly? Because I know I'm not going to say it.
No, I'd butcher it.
David Yellow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, though. It's pretty close.
That's not bad. That's pretty close.
Kyle Chandler. There's a few others in there as well. So, you know, my take on this film, because again, if we're going to do two films here, so we don't want to go too long, but I had heard Clooney being interviewed on the Howard Stern show, which is what sort of tuned me into just hearing about the production of the film and things like that. And that's somewhat why it was on my radar. And then I kind of looked it up and said, let me give it a watch. So, I liked the film, but it was the biggest issue I think I had with it was the pace. It was so slow. It was so like dull. I felt like, it just seemed like so much unnecessary content that could have, again, it's another movie. We've said this a lot recently. It's another movie that you shave this down to like at least 90 minutes and, I'm on board, but this is over a 2-hour movie, I think.
Yeah.
It's just too long. But, there's some nice moments in it. There's a couple of kind of nice.
There's also some very confusing contextual things that are kind of dumb.
Yeah.
This has got to be spoiler free because it's so new.
Right.
So I can't really give away too much, but
yeah,
there's things that don't make sense.
I did like the ending. I know that's been played out a little bit, but I did like the way it ended. I was kind of curious of what your thoughts were on that. If you thought it was a Joe McDokes or whatever, but
I think it depends on how close you watch some of these movies. Because I think 30 minutes in, I knew what was going on. Although I didn't have the ending tagged exactly, I was pretty close. But this is my response to the movie, my nonverbal response. So maybe you could describe
for those that are listening and not watching. Yeah. Gravity. Mike's holding up so it's Gravity, and it's also Passengers. And I liked it when it was called 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick.
And if I had Ad Astra,
yes,
I would throw that one
exactly. And I had the same exact thought. I'm like, this has really been done before. It's played out. In fact, isn't he in Gravity?
He's in Gravity.
It's like, come on, George.
And that's better than this.
And you missed one, which was Interstellar. Throw that in there.
That's exactly. You could throw that one in there too.
But
all better movies.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And but I will say, in watching it directorially, I'm looking and going, just trying to imagine getting your hands around a production like that. It's got to be pretty intense, even with CGI and all of that. There was some. It's still visually, there's some nice scenes in there.
I wanted to like the movie. I really did. And the beginning, when it started, I thought, okay, good. George Clooney's directing this. I liked the way it started to roll out. But about 20 minutes in, it really goes off the rails.
Yeah, you don't realize it's going to come to a grinding halt, which is really how it felt. Now, even... there's a scene where the crew that is out on this spaceship, they they lose communication and radar and whatever, and they end up in some sort of asteroid field or something, space junk, and
Yeah.
so they have to go out and do a spacewalk to do some repairs. And during that spacewalk, one of the crew members gets injured. And when they come back, when they get everybody back inside, there's I thought probably one of the best visual pieces of the film was when all these blood droplets, that sort of coagulated and they're floating through space and stuff like that. That was kind of, but that whole sequence from the space, I'm like, okay, where's the tension? Where's it just was sort of like very mundane and
it should have been
pedestrian.
Like when that storm is hitting, and they're out there during this storm, I'm like, this should be very tense right now. And I'm like,
I was trying to stay awake.
Popcorn?
Right.
Yeah, it was just dull.
It was.
You hit it right on the head. There was no tension. It should have been. And Clooney's certainly capable. We like Clooney as an actor and a director. But he just didn't get a lot of points.
No.
And he strayed so far from the novel. I won't even talk about the novel, but he strayed so far from it. And the ending was like kind of preachy, Greta Gerwig, I think, wrote the ending.
Greta Gerwig.
To give you a little bit of a...
Yeah, that's pretty clear from the onset, really.
Yeah.
But I suppose, I mean, even casting what I originally mistakenly said was Jimmy Stewart's kid, Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck's kid? Grandkid, right, because he would have been like 4 billion years old. But even casting him, he's this tall, handsome, guy.
Right. And
that couldn't save it. Couldn't save it. No, it was good.
I thought he looked enough like Clooney, but let him speak.
He wasn't in it enough. Yeah. So
let him speak, because it was Clooney's voice.
They were dubbing his voice, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let him speak. Exactly. I agree.
I mean, either get a good enough actor that can pull off kind of a Clooney-esque younger voice.
Right.
So that bugged me. That the things like that bother me when you...
Yeah, I give this like a out of an old brother. I'm not giving this...
Yeah.
It's...
I'm
not recommending... Yeah, I'm not recommending this film. I think you hit it exactly perfect, which is you just showed 4 other films that...
Right.
And honestly, the 2001 Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick, there is no topping that. That still holds up today. It's way ahead of its time, and
there
it's
was
a masterpiece.
Moments. There's definitely moments where you're like, why couldn't you do this more?
What are you doing, David? I can't tell you how. Get away from the door, Dave. Okay. So that I don't need to say anything more about The Midnight Sky.
I don't either. That enough's enough.
Yeah, we've given it enough attention.
Yeah, don't watch it. Save your Netflix hours for something else.
That's right. Save those 2+ hours for something else. All right, so let's move over to Pixar's movie Soul.
And the last time we did a Pixar film, it was Onward.
It was Onward, right. And, you said at that time how that film lacked sort of the heart and the emotional beats and things that you were hoping for, that Pixar is known for, that certainly Coco had. And Pixar, I tell you what, they've cornered the market on death. Like any theme with death.
Yeah.
What is it with Pixar and death?
Well,
Jesus.
I have something about that, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is the 3rd movie in a row.
Right.
They're dealing with death. But when I got to the end of the movie, I felt like this wasn't about death. This was more about life and making the most of your life.
Yeah.
So it's different in that sense.
So, this is one of those movies that another one that was very much impacted by the COVID pandemic. And
yeah, it would have been a big release.
It would have been. And I was looking at some of the extras on Disney Plus, which is where you can find this. In fact, they premiered this as a Disney Plus original film.
Right.
given the way the release went, because this was originally supposed to release back in like October or something.
Yeah.
Even before that, maybe.
When I was last in Florida,
Yeah.
and we went to the parks, there were posters coming
Right.
soon, and you can even see a preview in
Right.
the theater.
Right.
They have the theater in the Disney MGM Studios, which is now Disney Hollywood Studios.
And Pete Docter, who's now like the the main head cheese there at Pixar, or chief creative guy now, he's no stranger. Obviously, he's had his hand in the mix since Toy Story and Up and Inside Out and all these other things. But he they talk about on the extras, it was interesting, they showed how they basically, like so many companies and businesses impacted by the pandemic, with 7 weeks left in the production, they were only 50% done with the film. They packed everybody up and they put a transition plan into place, and they got everybody home and safe, and they finished the movie remotely, which is
amazing,
which is incredible. Incredible. Now, of course, when the reliance is so much on technology, thankfully it lends itself to that. And those of us that work remotely and can use technology, we're grateful for that. But so again, at the start, I said I really had no thoughts one way or the other. But there was some weird, like, where I was like, I don't know, like you were selling it. And I'm like, okay, I guess we can watch it. And you were like, well, it's not what you think. And I said, I don't really think anything. I don't really know what to think. Man, did I love this film.
Good. Yeah.
Man, did I love this
and I
film.
I couldn't say that to you.
God,
I couldn't say, Dan, I think you really like this. I have to sell it like, well, we could do Soul. It's new. Soul.
Right.
What do you think
Maybe
about Soul?
Hey, have I mentioned Soul before?
I kept kind of bringing it up in the ether, like
Yeah.
trying to get it into your subconscious. This was what I think I was expecting from Outward a little bit, but even way better.
There's so much that I want to say about the film, and so many little bits, and a Quiet Coyote. Quiet Coyote. I mean, I was going to start the episode with that. I meant to say that earlier. That was so funny. But I jumped in totally cold. I read nothing about it. I didn't know who was in it, like who voiced the characters.
I didn't either. I was cold too.
Were you? Now, I pretty quickly picked up on Tina Fey as the one main character, 22.
Yeah.
But I honestly couldn't place Joe, the protagonist.
I didn't either.
And if I had known,
we hate him.
I know. I may not have watched this film.
I thought that's why you weren't going to watch it.
I am not a Jamie Foxx fan.
And I almost said to you when I was trying to convince you,
don't look at who's in it.
Don't think it's a Jamie Foxx movie, because we don't like, and he's a good actor.
Yeah, it's not. I don't like him as a person or whatever. I'm just not a fan of.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an Academy Award.
It's the race. It's the race syndrome. I can't get over. Yeah.
The what? Oh yeah.
It's the race
that
syndrome.
He got an Academy Award for doing a really good impersonation.
Right.
And meanwhile, Joaquin Phoenix, who now has an Academy Award, rightfully so, should have won it.
Or Tom Cruise from Rain Man.
Or Tom Cruise from Born on the 4th of July.
Born on the 4th of July.
Or any other movie. But
that's right.
He gets it for doing an impression when Joaquin Phoenix does Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
It nails it. It's not an impression, but gives you the heart and soul that Johnny Cash does. But anyways, we're getting way off track.
I know. It's a bashing on Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, I know. But we're not fans of him. I probably would have skipped it.
Yeah,
if I knew it was him.
Right. But so give a real brief synopsis of this film, because it's very deep. But you could say it's about the meaning of life or what. Just something simple to sort of.
Yeah, I think it's about this guy who's just going about his everyday life. He loves playing the piano.
He's a band teacher.
Music. Yeah, he loves, and he's not a band teacher because he wants to be. He's a band teacher because that's the only thing that he can get.
You can relate to that.
Yeah, I can. But he's a band teacher because that's what he'll get hired for. So his real passion is, is playing the piano and soul music and the blues, and how it's, so he's going to work one day, or actually he's at work and he gets offered a full-time gig because
Right.
he's only subbing.
Right. And his
You know,
mother
he's
does not approve because his father lived that life. And,
right. And
you know,
and
she's like, you got to
the,
be more practical. It's your
exactly.
dreams aren't going to pay the bills type of thing,
And the woman who tells him he's full-time
Yeah.
thinks he's going to be jumping for joy.
Hmm.
How lucky are you now? Benefits and the whole nine. And he's just kind of like, oh, full
Hmm.
time, great. But that's not what his spark is, which we later kind of find
Yeah.
out in the movie. What's your spark? What
Right.
gets you going? And so he's walking to work, one day, and he falls in a manhole. There's an open manhole cover, and he dies. That's the whole death thing. Now that's in the first 5 minutes, so that's not a spoiler.
Right.
And if you see any of the
Yeah.
previews,
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Even
you
if you just
know it's
read the
about.
synopsis of it,
Yeah.
you'll know.
So he basically dies and goes to their the Disney Pixar version of heaven, which is hilarious, really funny. And he wants to go back. It's too soon. He just got a gig with this famous jazz
That's
musician.
right. You're right. Dorothea Williams, who is voiced by, oh God, she played Tina Turner in the Tina Turner movie.
I know. I
Uh,
don't have it in front of me,
oh,
so
isn't
I
that
don't.
terrible? I just looked at it. All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
but he finally gets a chance to play with her,
Right.
and he doesn't know if it's going to lead to anything. But hey, this is his love. This is what he wants to do.
Yep.
And it's ironic that he gets killed walking to work, to be a teacher.
Angela Bassett.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's also in the Marvel universe now.
And his mom is voiced by Felicia Rashad, which that
Okay,
was
that's
another one I
right.
recognized kind of right away. But
Yeah,
there were so many as I was watching, I'm like, oh, I want to mention this. I want to, but to sort of take the 30,000 foot view. I mean, as you mentioned, and I think about when we did our Onward episode, and you said, the world building in Onward, you were disappointed by. You'd hoped that they had taken that to kind of a different level and just fleshed that out a little bit better and more and whatnot. But I got to tell you, and I said this on the Onward episode too, even though for me is the animation is just, it blows my mind.
stunning.
In this film though, in particular, the textures and the little details are so
Yeah,
amazing. In the world that they built and the depth of it, you feel like this. I mean, there's some images, if you paused it, it's like you wouldn't know if it was an animated film or if it was
yeah,
real life. That's how
yes.
good this is.
Like Jamie's character sometimes looks like a portrait.
Yes.
You
And
know,
Dorothea Williams, this,
jazz
accomplished
musician.
jazz musician who he wants to, and ends up getting an opportunity to play with. The scenes of her gigging when he walks in and is just watching her, man, it's just
Yeah,
phenomenal. So
yeah.
I just have so much respect for the people
Now
that
you
do
watched
this
the
animation.
extras, right?
Not all of them.
Oh, did you see the girl who kind of designed the figures in the, what do they call? I don't even know. They don't call it heaven, so they don't get into a religious
Oh,
thing.
right, the souls.
Yeah, the
Right.
souls and
The little
like
round balls.
exactly. Did
Yeah.
you see how they created with
I didn't see that
springs
yet.
and stuff?
Not yet. No.
It's just phenomenal the way they come up with it, and they're talking about how do you show a soul,
Yeah.
on
Well,
an
that's it too.
animation.
The conceptually, the way, because I'm watching it going, who the hell is thinking this up, and where are they getting these ideas, and coming up with a way to illustrate it that is so incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
it was because it's very, I mean, it's deep subject matter. It's not, this is
Right.
not, Scooby-Doo or whatever. It's like,
Right.
it's pretty deep.
And I love, like I said, Onward didn't have heart. And I was going to say the same thing about Clooney's movie. There was no heart to it. There was no, like, I didn't really care. I mean,
Yeah.
if they all got hit, bonked on the head, I almost thought that would have been a better movie.
And a real quick comment back on the Midnight Sky. You've got this really cute young actress playing alongside Clooney, who a lot of missed opportunities there. Yeah. So they couldn't really have probably some of those moments that they could have, as you're describing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those emotional beats.
And Jesus, what a doll she was.
So
Good
cute.
Lord.
So cute.
I know this is her first movie.
I'm sure we'll see her again.
I bet they searched
here on the Oh Brother podcast, hopefully.
Yeah. Hey, mom, pop, let's bring her on.
That's right. Absolutely.
But yeah, this movie was just
it
really
had
good. What a message. Great message at the end.
Yeah. The animation, the directing, the comedy, the heart, you name it, it checks every single box.
Every box,
this is a really fantastic film. And you're right. The message, I mean, it's, for me, and I know you can relate. I mean, and probably most of us, most of us have something. Very few of us have been fortunate enough to live out what we believe is our purpose, at least, let's say it that way, because I think that's one of the things the film touches on is, as Pete Docter actually says in one of the extras, chasing a purpose or subscribing to one can be both a blessing and a curse, and so and I've learned this.
Well, I was gonna, we've been fortunate to have 3 guests on our show that found their spark, what they love, and are doing it. And I think that's why we admire them so much, Jamie and the Nelms brothers. Mm-hmm. This is what they want to do. This is what they've always wanted to do. And they're doing it.
And mom, you're talking
and
about.
Mom. And, she is. Like, this is what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a mother. And
that's right.
It's true. It's true.
Spoil us. So,
I envy anybody out there.
But
who's doing what they love.
Right. But having said that, because, truth be told, I mean, I would, as would you, I would say that my passion is music and my passion is film in some form or another.
Yeah.
But, as you get older and you have different life experiences and whatever it is, you get to a point, and this was, again, a big message in the film, is you start to take notice, hopefully, of the smaller moments and the things that may seem ordinary to you, but they may have a tremendous impact regardless, or on someone else's life, Right. And I see that in the work that I do outside of the Oh Brother podcast, and so that really resonated with me. And like you, I thought, what a great message to put out there in the world.
Irony of ironies, for me, I always wanted to act, and got to experience a lot of it in college and graduate school. But when I started teaching and realizing the impact that was having, that kind of became a passion for me, even though it wasn't my spark or, what I ultimately wanted to do in life. That's not where I saw myself 25 years ago. I saw myself in a movie or on stage,
Yeah. And the other idea of, none of us know how long we've got, we don't. And we often
and that comes up.
It does. And we often,
he's walking to work and falls in a manhole.
Right.
And that happens every day.
Yeah. And
crazy like that.
And we say it a lot. We say, be in the moment, live in the moment, like all of those cliches. It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to be present and be present consistently. I know that for sure. And but I believe in it. And it's something I work at. I think it's a practice almost that you have to open yourself up to that. And I think if you do, it's why when Pete Docter said, described purpose as a blessing and a curse, and it made a lot of sense to me. You could
Yeah.
see how you could be really burdened by it as much
Yeah.
as it could be uplifting, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
we see this character of Joe discover that along the way.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of the very first classes I ever taught
Mm-hmm.
was alternative careers for lawyers.
Right.
I was a young lawyer at the time,
Right.
and this woman who was teaching, she said, I don't know anything about these lawyers. I don't know how to come back at them. Will you help me? And I said, yeah, I'll do whatever I have to. And they all, it was a sold out class. Like I've never, it had, maybe 100. We were in one of those big, like I'm used to from law school, had one of those big auditoriums jammed with lawyers that hated being lawyers. They hated going to work every day. They hated their lives. And we were basically trying to tell them what you have to do is take stock of your skills. What are your skills as a lawyer? You got to put them down. And everyone fought us saying, I make 100 grand. This is 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I make 100 grand. Yeah, okay. I want to, I love music. I want to play guitar, but I got bills to pay. I got this to do. Yeah, well, yeah, we all do.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make excuses, but you can start to turn your skills in a way very slowly. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you start to turn your skills, you can get to that point you want to,
Right.
where you'll
Right.
be happy.
Yeah.
And man, that was the hardest room we ever had.
Well, it's interesting that this film, Pete Docter starts working on this in around 2016, I think. But
Yeah, it's amazing how long these Pixar films take to make.
but how timely it is that it would come out now.
Yeah.
Because you think about, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people over the last many months, and this whole just, thought that life is too short. And again, that's another phrase we throw out there all the time.
Cliche.
Right. But in, living through this pandemic, people that have suffered through it, lost loved ones and so on, it's never been as timely a message, I think, as you could have, which is to, like you said, take stock of your life, find peace and joy in the simple things and in the little things in life, and understand that your gifts may be found in other ways.
Yeah.
It might be like the love of your family, or just things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thank God you kept pushing this one, because I
I just found out you watched it.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to talk about this.
Right. And of course
I thought it was just going to be a quick, okay, here's Clooney's movie next.
Well, if you think about it, if you think now, I was saying to you, you want to do a double shot, double feature.
Yeah. And what I thought you
That's
meant was because we're doing the live stream later
Gotcha.
on.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you meant.
No, but that's a good segue out of here. Is there anything beyond that you want to say about this film? Obviously, we both highly recommend this film.
Yeah. If you have Disney Plus and you haven't watched it, watch it. It's it's just the opposite of the last couple of films. It's short. It's nice. It's every minute is just full of something. It's just
sweet.
Great.
It's sweet. It's funny. It's
beautiful.
It's well directed. It's fantastic animation.
The last thing I'll say, talking about how you saw, because I thought the same thing with the death, and to distinguish the three movies, Coco, which I really liked and would really recommend, is more about culture. That's really about the Mexican culture and how they view death as the beginning.
Right.
And then you go to Onward, which is kind of about family, but they sort of missed that component that Soul has. And soul, I think, is about not death, but life. What are you doing with your life?
Exactly.
What are you doing every minute to make yourself happy?
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
to Jamie Foxx's credit, he was fantastic in this.
He was. And you know what was interesting too? The jazz, the music, which in fact, I've been listening to jazz all day in the house. The musician who did a lot of those compositions, John Baptiste,
yes,
is the band leader for Stephen Colbert's band, who I used to not like.
Really?
I didn't like Colbert, and I didn't like John Baptiste and his band. I didn't like the music and whatnot on the show. But since the pandemic, first of all, Stephen Colbert, and there's even been stories written on it, how he's really changed because he sort of stripped himself down.
Yes.
And he's lost this weird facade that he had.
Yeah, and from the Daily Show, he brought that.
Yeah, and it was just,
and it wasn't that good.
It seemed disingenuous. And,
yes.
But now he became so authentic.
Yeah.
I've become such a huge fan of his. And the same with John Baptiste, because I've got to see them in a different light. Plus, he's such a skilled musician.
Did you see how because the fingers they show when he's playing? Did you see John Baptiste when the extras with him?
Yeah, some of it. And
he's playing, and how they mirrored his fingers.
Oh, animated his finger. Well, that makes sense now. Yeah,
God,
absolutely.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
When you see him.
Right.
And then it's funny because, Jamie
Fox?
Jamie. Yeah. Oh, it is Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx.
I was thinking.
You're thinking of Jamie Chambers.
Yeah, I was. Jamie Foxx is when he's talking and doing a lot of the dialogue, he's got a keyboard in front of him and he's playing.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty gifted. He
is. Oh, he really is. He's a great singer. He's a great piano player. And no, there's no question about it.
This hit on every cylinder.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, a couple thumbs up here from Mike and Dan. Well, do yourself a favor, watch this film. It does have a very inspiring message. It's also very, very funny. It's a very funny movie.
Yeah, Tina Fey is hilarious.
Again, it's the perfect combination of all of those different emotions.
And meanwhile, the Disney board of directors are like, "This could have made us $1 billion."
I know, but.
Which is an irony in that.
Right. But this is, you sort of said, if you have Disney Plus, if you don't have Disney Plus,
there's a reason to get it.
It really is. This kind of content, absolutely worth it.
If they do this, the Mandalorian, the stuff they've got in the pipeline.
Oh God. And just with their library. Yeah.
Netflix got to be a little nervous right now.
Quiet Coyote. Well, all right, that's going to wrap it up for another episode. But again, there's a lot coming here in season 2 of the Oh Brother podcast. We're super excited. Mike even has a surprise that I didn't even know about that you'll see that next week too. So I'm excited about that. But tonight, depending on when you hear this, we're going live tonight with one of our biggest supporters, and we just think she's super cool. We're looking forward to jumping on live with her. Tiana Loves Movies. So go follow her, and as always, a thanks to our musical guru, our John Baptiste, Dave Diaz, at Rev Drum. If you're looking to get some music done for your show or whatever it is you got going on, reach out to Dave, and I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. But all things Oh Brother you find at our official website, ohbpodcast.com, ohb as in brother podcast.com. That's going to do it for the first episode of season 2 of the Oh Brother podcast. I've been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. We will see you next time.
Bye, Coyote. Bye, everyone. I can't do it with a finger.
Find your spark, everyone.
Yeah. Find your spark, everyone.